Welcome to the Divine Platform. This is yours truly, the Literati, and all I do is for the edification of the Most High and for the restoration of His kingdom. And yes, I can do all these things through Christ, which strengthens me. And it is my prayer that the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart are acceptable to God, my strength and Redeemer. Okay, let's get started. This is going to be a quick follow-up on my accurate prediction of the Eagles being noted as the winners of the Super Bowl and what comes next. I will be kind of exposing their plan. So I will discuss this in 4 sections, and I've done it that way just to make sure that it's a clear, coherent revelation and sharing of the information. I know I tend to get convoluted and following all these rabbit holes. They're important, but I think it confuses a lot of people. Anyway, so the first part we'll be talking about how this was a draw. There was no winner per se. Both teams won, and it should be noted that I mentioned that in my first video when I said both cannot win. One has to be declared the winner. Okay, and then in the second part, I will touch on the KC code, and then on the third part, the KCPE code, and we'll end with my final thoughts. Okay, so I want to welcome you and thank you for tuning in, and especially for those who always support me, thank you so much. And for the new viewers and subscribers, welcome. And if you have not subscribed, please do so, or leave in the comment section why you're not subscribing, right? That's a joke. Okay. So this game was a draw. Okay, and let me show you how. So the Chiefs had 22, the Eagles had 40. So let's look at the Chiefs functions in the 22. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 squared is 4. So this is a solid 4. So the Chiefs' absolute value or value is a solid 4. Let's look at the Eagles. They scored 40. 4 plus 0 is 4. And this 4 times 0 equals to 0 4 times. So it's still a value of 4. So that is a draw. One is a solid 4, the other one is an absolute 4. Okay, what is a draw? A draw is a pull. It's to attract or an attraction. You're drawn to somebody. You're attracted to somebody. Draw those curtains, pull those curtains, yeah? Draw is to bring on, it's to provoke, it's to elicit. It also means to tie and to inhale. And you can read up the definitions in the dictionary. So a draw is a pull, like drawing something towards oneself. It is also an elicitation, which is to pull something latent or something with potential, to draw something out. So this is part of the opening of the portals ritual that is still going on. It's the gathering of souls. See the lights, the noise, and the hype generated during. And in this specific ball, the Super Bowl was a continuation of the portal opening ritual, the one that was done by Pope Francis. Okay, so that hype was helping draw away these dead entities and setting them into the avatars that they're supposed to take. It is not, it was required for Trump to be there for this reason. Okay, it was required of him to be there. Okay, the Super Bowl hype and all the activities surrounding the game is an activation ritual. It's an activation of the potential. A draw is also a tie here. We see that. What is that? A tie is a binding. you know, if you draw laces, shoelaces, you're tying them. So it's a deadlock or a deathlock. A draw is also an inhale. So when you draw your breath in, you're inhaling. Okay, so an inhalation or an inhale has occurred. And now we should all be waiting to exhale. We are waiting for them to exhale. It was an inhale and now waiting to exhale. Okay, let's see. So this was a draw, yeah, like we just saw. So the Chiefs had a solid 4, the Eagles had an absolute 4. So this is the 44. This is a ritual for the Three Stooges who are coming to the world stage, like I've shown in previous videos who those Stooges are. This game is said to be a 44 game because technically each team scored a value, each team score is a value of 4. And two teams each having a 4 is 2 4s, that's x, 24x, or 4-4. So it's a 4-4 game ritual. And we know that the 44th president of the good old US was Obama. The 44th person to be the president of the good old US was Trump. And now we have the plus 44, which is the phone code for the UK, where the third stooge is. Okay? And when I say stooge, I'm not being disrespectful. It's a code word. Stooge, stage, stagger, STG. So we see how this ritual affected all of them. This was a huge ritual. This Super Bowl was a monumental ritual for these people. Okay? Because it touched on every one of them. Okay, it was a draw again in the sense that Super Bowl, the Kansas City score was 15-20. I hope I'm correct on this. And the Philadelphia Eagles score was 14-3. So before Super Bowl, 15-2, not 20. I said 20, right? No. Kansas was 15 wins, 2 losses. The Eagles had 14 wins, 3 losses. But after the Super Bowl, technically, Kansas lost, so it had 15 wins and 3 losses, and the Eagles won, so it's 15 wins and 3 losses. So that's another draw again we see. Yes. So this really was a draw game. And this should make you focus, put your focus on the word draw. Because in this ritual, draw is the greater ritual for us to focus on. Okay, now let me go to the second part, which is the KC to KC. Okay, Kansas City Chiefs is a KC, King Charles is KC. And now what I'm going to seem, it might start seeming contradictory, but it's not. We're just living in a very diabolical time where one thing that is like whatever they're doing is serving 2 masters at the same time. It's almost like the snake eating its own tail, or they're cutting their noses to spite their face. That's what they're caught up in. And now everything matters. So KC, the fact that KC lost, Kansas City lost, to me is a direct messaging for King Charles. He's being cleaned out. Okay? So maybe he's no longer going to be possessed, because they're all running around being possessed with some sort of entity. So these possessions are normally carried out by witches. We have some powerful witches, man, evil, powerful Jezebel witches running this reality, and they're the ones who dictate which entities possess who. and how they do it and what you need to do to be possessed. Okay, so I have a feeling that King Charles is getting ready for the final showdown, where he's being recalled and retired or reassigned or fired so that his son can ascend to the throne to complete this ritual. This is not any different than when Trump told Biden that he is depriving him of his security clearance. What does that mean? That he's depriving him of the classified intelligence briefings. So it is my sincere belief that the Kansas City Chiefs technically losing the game points to King Charles being taken out from the public and having his son ascend to the throne. Okay, now the third part, that's when I talk about the KCPE. And so I hope you watched the post on the community page and the video I did just before this one, because I'm not going to expound on the KCPE, what it means. So we know that King Charles, in essence, has lost and will be replaced by his son as Philip, because his name is William Arthur Philip Louis. I believe when he takes over, he will be as Philip. So in this KCPE code, first we have the Kansas City Chiefs, that's a KC, which comes first, and then the PE, the Philadelphia Eagles, which come next. Just like King Charles comes first and then his son, Philip, comes next. And the PE, the E can be taken out because P already has an E in it, the way it sounds, like P. You see, it has an E in it. Sometimes it's actually spelled P-E-E, of course, which means P, but what I really think the E stands for is Emperor. And I'll do a whole other video on this. I think when Philip comes to the throne, it is highly likely that he will have the title of Emperor. That's what they're planning. I'm telling you that. And maybe me doing these videos, I know it does. It throws a wrench into their plans. Okay? Because they like to do things, it's an open secret, but they're also still obscuring them. They're deceptive about it, hoping that we don't see it. But once you see it and call it out, you kind of throw a wrench into their algorithms, into their plans. Okay? But I know when he comes to the throne, they want him to come in as Philip, and he'll be an emperor. Let's look at that. So what's an emperor? He's a sovereign or supreme male monarch of an empire. And that's the hierarchy. The emperor is above the king. So it is the highest office that he can hold. And as you can all see, we are heading into the one world government with the consolidation of power into the hands of the three stooges. And like I said, I'm going to do a separate video on all that and show you how they're planning to implement that. So the emperor is a top rank and they rule an empire. The name implies a multi-ethnic state like the European Union. The emperor may occasionally be called a king of kings. This is blasphemy because Jesus is the king of kings. He rules over what perhaps in the past were independent kingdoms. Yes, all these kingdoms, they're planning to consolidate them in some way or the other, whether it's under the UN, the BRICS. You see how Trump is talking about taking over Canada and Greenland and Panama. This is what they're doing. Okay? So emperors are generally recognized to be the highest monarchic honor and rank surpassing a king. In Europe, the title of emperor has been used since the Middle Ages, and it is considered equal in dignity to that of a pope. Okay? In as much as there's a strict definition of emperor, it is that an emperor has no relations, implying the superiority of any other ruler. What? I don't even know what I wrote down here, sorry. In as much as there is a strict definition of emperor, it is that an emperor has no relations, implying his superiority. Therefore, a king might be obliged to pay tribute to another ruler or be restrained in his actions in some unequal fashion, but an emperor should, in theory, be completely free of such restraints. This title was first used by Augustus of Rome, and I will talk more about this in a different video. Just know that KCPE called it was a draw because these three people have to be on the stage at the same time. So they all have to be, no one can be above or below. They're going to be three at the same time for a time. Okay? And then the KCPE is King Charles, then Philip the Emperor. Okay, so what are my final thoughts? So in this game, Kansas City and King Charles can both be seen as red herrings. They were kind of a distraction, probably used intentionally as part of political rhetoric, but also inadvertently, which means incidentally or just coincidentally. They are there, but they're not the main reason. So these were placeholders because, like, for the Chiefs, everybody was so sure they would win again. They had these perfect statistics and they have the history, but it was a distraction. So while you're looking there, this is what we are doing. And of course, King Charles, I've said before, was just a red herring because really the person who moves the mark is going to be his son. Okay, Kansas. Kansas sounds like Kansas, like a cancer, the disease. Plural of cancer is Kansas, and the singular is cancer. And I'm just putting this here to tie in with, I'm trying to figure out how this is going to play out. But we need to remember when they announced that both King Charles and Kate Middleton had cancer. Okay, but the public caught on so quickly, and I think they kind of got froze on what to do because by now Kate is supposed to not be in the picture at all. Because, like I said, they're planning for something else for this Prince William when he becomes king. So I'm just trying to figure out whether they're going to come up with another cancer story because those two people are supposed to leave. And honestly, I think they wanted Kate gone way before. But now their ritual was interrupted by people. People are awake. People know what's going on. So it's getting harder and harder for them to play these rituals on the masses. I'm just so curious to see how this plays out. Okay, one other thing about Kansas and cancer. So Prince of Wales William was born on June 21st, 1982. And for those of you who believe in horoscopes, I don't, because I don't even understand this stuff, but I just put this here because it's out everywhere. And I'm just trying to show you how it ties into everything that they're doing. So he is a Cancer because they say if you're born between, I think, June 21st and July 22nd, then your sign is a Cancer. So again, I'm trying to show you that. That's part of, this is how they're playing their game. Yeah. And I just think we need to be aware of their devices so that we can catch them at their game. We need to be like vigilant. We should be in a hyper vigilant state because they're moving fast, they're desperate, they're doing everything now. They can't hide because we are awake. Their deception previously was able to carry on because we were asleep. So they were doing it right in front of our eyes, but was asleep, so we couldn't see what they were doing. But now they're awake. We are awake, sorry. So we can see what they're doing. So they're kind of discombobulated in a way. Okay. Also, William is 42 years old. And I suppose technically if the Eagles scored 40, so that's a 4. That's the value. The numerical value is like a 4. And the Chiefs scored 22. 2 is repeated. So if you take out 1, 2, you get 4, 2. So you can say he's still also, this ritual is still for him in that way as well. Okay. And remember the KLMN code. I'm still curious to know how this plays out because KM is what's her name? Kate Middleton. And LN, remember I said it's Lupita Nyong'o. But so we have KLMNOP. Okay, those vowels, as you know, you can delete them. But P is the next letter. And that's Philip. And that's L and P. So I don't know if you can see this sequential pattern I'm seeing here and maybe see what's going on. Again, I'm just curious to know how this plays out. I'm so curious. Are they going to follow through with it? I can hardly wait to see how this plays out. Okay. Yeah, and the final thoughts, I did not watch the game. My prediction for the score is different than what they scored. However, my prediction was either the value of my prediction was, I had 2 predictions for the score, was either a 43 or a 45. That would have been the value. So it's quite interesting that this was a 44 game because in my mind I had it, yes, as either a 43 or a 45 game. Okay. Another thing I know for a fact is that, no, well, not for a fact, take that out. I thought Lamar Jackson was going to take this Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. So I don't know what happened. And maybe he will again. I don't know. But I see how Jalen Hurts from the Eagles and everything that I've shown fit in really well. But I was sure that Lamar Jackson was going to be in this Super Bowl. But then something happened in my personal life. Like I told you, these things always touch me personally. I think around in January, something happened to me that disconnected me from that thing that made me think that had made me know that Lamar Jackson was going to win. But then I didn't even connect then when I was disconnected to that thing that then he's not going to make it. But I don't know, maybe he'll be here next time. I don't know. Anyways, that's it. So I think the final plan is to take Charles and Kate out to get William in as Philip. The engine is revving, the car is inching forward, it's go time. And they're still going to move even faster to for these rituals they're doing. They're trying to forestall the coming of Christ, of the King of Kings, who will come with fire and vengeance. That's what they're trying to do. Well, that's it. This was quick and short. Thank you so much. Questions, comments, suggestions are always welcome. Please leave your comments below. And I know as you're watching, you probably had a bunch of revelations come at you. So please share with them, share them with us in the comment section. Remember, all is truth. There can only be truth. Everything else is a distraction. Do not be distracted. Thank you for watching. Thank you.
You like a shield, it will cover you from now until the day you see your King. Favor, it's